Okay, good morning, everybody. My name is Kyung from Korea, and it's my great honor and pleasure to be here with you today. Today, I'm going to talk about microimplant and genius self-ligation bracket. So, I think French people are very, very proud of French language. Korean is also very, very proud of Korean alphabets because Korean alphabets is the most scientific alphabets which was made in 15th centuries. Before 15th centuries, we used Chinese characters, but we have our own language. Language of Korea and the Chinese absolutely different. So anyhow, it's very easy to learn. 2 hours is enough. It means in Korea, there's no illiteracy. Everybody can read and write before entering elementary school. Anyhow, however, English is one of the most difficult languages to Koreans and Japanese. So Korean English called Anglais. I hope you understand my broken English. This is the king who developed this most logical alphabets. So there are so many African languages. So UNESCO used Korean alphabets to record, to write so many African languages because this is the most best alphabet to record any kind of sound we are hearing. So some countries adopt Korean alphabets instead of English alphabets to record, to write their textbook, to teach their children. And I live here. The name of the city is Daegu, the third biggest city in Korea. As you know, Korea is a very small country surrounded by big countries. But we have almost 5,000 years of history. Anyhow, we have to fight with the big countries, from big China and big Russia, and recently Japan. Anyhow, we survived until now. So this is my new dental school, and this is my new dental hospital. If you have any chance to visit Korea, please drop by my department too. So I think I finished my DDS course in 1980s. Then I entered 1-year internship. Then I entered a 2 years orthodontic residentship at that time. These days we have 4 years program. I think this is my thinking. These are revolution in orthodontics. When I was training, almost 90% I did bend and the welding and the cementation. But during training, I tried to start bonding, only anteriorities, because I worried about failure of bonding. And I was interested in lingual appliance, and nowadays, invisible aligner is very popular all around the world. Also, skeletal anchorage is one kind of a revolution, I think, in orthodontic field. What is evolution in my orthodontic treatment? Aesthetic brackets like ceramic or resin, and one of them is self-ligation brackets. I'm very, very curious to new kind of things. So I tried almost all kind of self-ligation brackets until this time. Then, self-ligation bracket is really new concept. It's very, very old one. This Chinese character may be very hard to write. We can write down in Korean alphabets very easy. The meaning is like this. If you read this book, edgewise, written by Ramphore, you can see these kind of self-parallax brackets already, long time ago. Then why we didn't use self-parallax brackets? What it became popular in these days? Also in lingual side, already in 1983, Professor Fujita in Japan is the first pioneer in lingual orthodontics, designed and made this kind of self-parallax brackets, but he gave up to develop more. Why? Because we didn't have good quality of wires. So former self-parallax brackets are a little bit difficult to tie. So it means if you use SS wire, it's difficult to insert. If it's not inserted fully, we cannot close the clip. That's the main reason, I think. That's why nowadays revived the self-parallax brackets these days. So there are so many articles about self-parallax brackets. Many doctors, it has less friction. We can reduce treatment duration, or we can reduce chair time. Also, it's better for patient, less pain and discomfort, and better oral hygiene, less soft tissue irritation. There are so many articles you can search on the internet. So anyhow, according to many studies, if we use self-parallax brackets, I think it's true. We can reduce friction. Same researches. How about treatment duration? Treatment duration, I think still there's controversy. So actually, it's almost impossible to do precise research because there's no same person. I mean, we do not have a control. Also, many articles insist we can reduce treatment duration if we use self-parallax brackets. Time of wire removal insertion. I think this is one of the big reasons why we use self-parallax brackets. Also, we can reduce wire removal and insertion. Also, Tommy Company introduced this kind of innovation air lingual appliance, and they gave me to test in lingual side. The first self-parallax brackets I used was speed brackets. Then one of my students tried to use speed brackets for lingual side. So the bracket should be very thickened if we treat her with a lingual straight wire system. Anyhow, he made a setup and attached the brackets. And we start from 1 to 9 time. And finished. Treated one of my students. And this is his conclusion after using self-parallax brackets. So if we made set model, we can have very, very precise bracket positioning. Everybody now using this kind of set model for indirect bonding. I have the first lingual case using set model. And also we can do straight wire mechanics. Even in lingual side, nowadays many doctors using straight wire mechanics. And self-parallax brackets, he told me it's more easier than conventional ligation, especially in lingual side. As you know, there are two kinds of self-parallax brackets. One is passive type, the other one is active type or semi-active type. But in my experience, this kind of active type is not so active in reality, in my experience. Also, this different kind of lingual self-reaction brackets. So, also this is one of my research. How can we save time insertion on the removal? In lingual side, so usually we can reduce 80 to 120 seconds in one arch in crowded model. If 6 arteries is well aligned, we can reduce 6 to 8 seconds. Like in removal, we can reduce 50 to 20 seconds per arch. Also, many doctors insist if you use SLV brackets, we can reduce pain and tissue irritation, also better oral hygiene. So anyhow, this company located in Taiwan, the Michael Wei, the president of MEM, contacted me a long time ago to help him to develop brackets. So they made first conventional brackets and also straight-away brackets and the ceramic brackets and the self-reaction brackets. Nowadays, recently, they made clear self-reaction brackets. Just came out. So I tested, and I gave him feedback. So, and that's why I try to use Genius system. When I visit there, they have very good factories. All the machines are made in Germany, and they have good connection in Japan and the United States with engineer and the university to develop the system. So also when I contact a little bit big company, it's very, very slow to change the system. But this company is very, very quick. If I gave them a feedback, they changed design and system quickly. Still, it's not perfect in my experience. But as you know, bracket is too small. We have many, many good ideas, but it's too small. So engineers, very, very difficult to realize our ideas in small size brackets. That's one problem. So last year, the second prototype of Genius bracket, then I tried to use in minor tooth movement to correct rotation in lower incisors. Anyhow, around 6 months later, I could align tooth like this. And this patient, extraction cases. In Oriental society, we have so many extraction cases. Also, as you can see here, we have so many bialveolar protrusion patients with crowding. It means we need more anchors than Western society also the patient. So upper ceramic brackets also made in MEM. So also I gave them some idea, and nowadays they have better quality of ceramic brackets, thin, and friction looks like metal with a special coating in the United States. And I met the engineer from United States in Taiwan. Actually, he was former designer of a Damon system. So he had so many ideas in his computer, but some can be realized, some still need more technique to realize. So aligned. As you can see here, I inserted 2 microimplant and retract 6 anterior teeth. In the low, I didn't put any kind of microimplant. As you know, always we need more anchors in the upper arch. This is not finished yet. So unfortunately, I didn't have finished case with Genius system because I started from last year. I mean the new one. But anyhow, bracket is bracket. Brackets cannot change treatment plan. So always I told to my student, whenever you treat patient, you have to think about 2 things, effective and efficient. Sometimes efficient one is better, but sometimes we need more effective one. So this is your choice. So in my experience about self-ligation bracket system, low friction, I think is true. A short treatment duration, maybe, depending on the case. However, we can reduce chair time. I'm not sure how many patients do you treat per day. In the United States, usually they treat 100 patients per day. So that's why they use a lot of self-ligation brackets. Less pain, discomfort, it may be depend on the ligation type. Some doctors prefer use ligature wire. Some doctors use O-ring elastics. Better oral hygiene. Still, we need more evidence. We need more evidence. No soft tissue irritation. Yes, compared to ligature wire ligation. Okay, I think many speakers are going to talk about self-ligation bracket a lot, so I'm going to talk about microimplant anchorage. Why anchorage control is important? Okay, this is case treated in Germany. My friend's daughter, and a German doctor promised to treat her treatment before graduation. However, this is situation when she returned to Korea. Western society, especially beginners, not have experience about extraction cases. Here we can see typical side effect of extraction cases when we do not think about anchorage. Also, I met this kind of situation when I was a beginner too. You can see typical transverse bowing, typical vertical bowing, anterior bite, deepen. So low, almost crossed, but we have a big space left in the upper. It's very common. We do not think about anchorage, especially in extraction cases. So anchorage control is almost mission impossible, especially to beginners. What is the difference between expert and the beginners in orthodontics? I think one of them is anchorage control. Anchorage control. As an anchorage control is very important in orthodontics, like in daily life. I think Dr. Tweed is the first man who emphasized the importance of anchorage in orthodontics. You know, in 1940, in AAO, he displayed 100 cases. From these cases, he made Tweed triangle. How long does it take to find out this IMP angle? 12 years. Finally, he used this FMI angle as diagnosis to decide extraction or not. How long does it take to find out this degree? It took 20 years. You know, he treated the case without extraction according to his teacher, Dr. Anglais. You know, Dr. Anglais' philosophy is non-extraction. After developing edgewise brackets. Before he developed brackets, also he did extraction. But after he developed edgewise brackets in 1927 or 28, then his philosophy changed from extraction to non-extraction. Unfortunately, in 1930s, he passed away. And Dr. Tweed followed his principle. However, he treated, however, it was relapsed. Then he extracted 3 months again, then he treated again. From these cases, finally, he made Tweed triangle. How many sets in original Tweed mechanics? Do you know how many sets in original Tweed mechanics? I'll give you one gift from Korea. 7 or 6? Nobody tried? Okay, I tried, only in type note. All the famous orthodontists attended Tweed course since the 1940s. After that, they never used it in daily practice. Everybody said one time is enough. Then they never used. Why? Because there are so many complicated archway bendings, soldering, and we need absolute cooperation from the patient, from the start of treatment to the end of treatment. If there's no good cooperation, we cannot finish. We cannot finish the case. According to this slide, I found there was 14 sets. 14 sets. Change of set means we have to change the arch wire. It means it's very, very hard to orthodontists. That's why many orthodontists these days use straight wire system. Why? Dr. Tweed make his technique like this kind of very complicated one, because also he met this kind of situation after starting extraction of teeth. I told to my student, orthodontists spend almost time to treat iatrogenic malocclusion, which was created by ourselves. After extraction, if you start apply force, occlusion became worse and worse. So almost time we have to spend to treat iatrogenic malocclusion, which was created by ourselves. Unfortunately, anchorage control is different from patient to patient. There is no same patient in the world. That's why orthodontic treatment is difficult. That's why we need long period of training. That's why we need experience. When I was a student, one famous professor in Japan said that, still I remember, orthodontic treatment, knowledge is very, very important. However, we cannot treat patient with the knowledge. Knowledge, we can read a book, we can under knowledge from the book. Orthodontic treatment can be treated with wisdom. Wisdom means it's very hard to learn, actually. Everybody knows this kind of table. If, right now, if I gave you this angle, I'm not sure how many of you can calculate this kind of moment and the force. I think you're an excellent orthodontist. Before starting my ortho treatment, I was very surprised how orthodontists calculate all these things and apply in real patient. Fortunately, if you do not know this scientific calculation, fortunately, we can treat the patient. I'm not sure, popular Western chess in France, and Bill Gates, and the Western champion in Norway, 71 seconds, he defeated Bill Gates, computer champion. Anyhow, in 1997 already, computer defeated chess champion. And this software is only 80 euros. If you buy this software, you can play with champion of Western chess. How about Go game? More number of cases. From second stone, this is, how do I say, 129,000 number of cases. If we put one more, it means we cannot calculate, we cannot express our human beings' words. However, finally, last March, they had a big match in Korea between AlphaGo and the professional Go play in Korea. Finally, AlphaGo win 4-1. However, it's not simple software. I think they use more than 1,000 CPU to play with a professional Go player. Why Go play is difficult? Because there are so many number of cases, so many number of cases. How about alternate treatment? I think number of cases of alternate treatment is more than this kind of Go game. Usually, alternate treatment is kind of art and science. I'm not sure. In the future, I heard that one of job will be lost in the near future is orthodontist. Because computer can calculate all the things, but however, I think it will take a long time because there's no same patient. Computer cannot calculate without the data. We have to give the data to the computer. But unfortunately, every patient is different. It's very, very hard to calculate all kind of cases in orthodontics. I think you do not worry about you lost your job before die. And I learned so many different kind of mechanics from my teacher and my grand-teacher. I tried several different kind of mechanics. If I hear, for example, bioprogress mechanics, wow, that is best mechanics. Then I return to my clinic, then I change. Attend to the meal, wow, that is best. Unfortunately, when I tried, it's not successful. Why? Because they showed us only successful cases. Why we have so many different kind of mechanics in orthodontics? One of them is the difference of concept in Anglais. So when I was training, one of the biggest mission impossible was maintaining of mandibular plane angle. This is treated my teacher in 1980s. He's first orthodontist in my city. Typical high-angle crest tooth in Oriental society. Finished. Looks good, but what happened? Always opening of mandible plane. In extraction cases, crest 1, crest 2, always we have to use crest elastics. Crest elastics. You can see typical side effect of crest elastics: severe tipping, extrusion molars, and the more important thing is opening of a mandibular plane. I learned we should keep this angle after treatment in class 1 and class 2. However, in my experience, it was almost impossible, especially in this kind of high-angle cases. So my teacher attended to the Merrifield course, then we changed the mechanics to the Merrifield mechanics. To the Merrifield mechanics, anyhow, Merrifield received permission from Dr. Tweed, teacher. Your mechanics is good, but so complicated, nobody uses. Then he received permission to change the system to Merrifield mechanics. It's only 6 sets, 6 sets. Then he tried. I think this is the best mechanics for extraction cases with bialveolar protrusion. As I said before, we have so many bialveolar protrusion patients in Oriental society. Then what is the problem? The problem is patient cooperation. Did you watch this movie, Finding Nemo? I think she is the excellent orthodontic patient because she wears this kind of headgear 24 hours a day. However, the light express this girl have some kind of psychogenic problem. If you have excellent cooperation from headgear, you should be very careful. They have some kind of psychogenic problems, in my experience. Normal people, it's impossible to have this kind of perfect cooperation. Anyhow, still, many doctors hesitate to use Tweed mechanics. Why? We need patient cooperation. If you read this textbook by Dr. Moyes, there is a phrase, it's nature of orthodontics. The patient determines success of treatment. Even though you're a beginner, if you have good cooperation, you can have good result. Even though you're expert, if you cannot have good cooperation, you can have a good result. So finally, I know that the famous speakers showed us only successful cases. Because one of my friends stayed in the United States for 1 year, very famous speakers all around the world. Also, he had so many problems. But during presentation, he did not show failed cases. So that's why many doctors try to use skeletal Anglais. It's also long history. In 1983, I think this is the first published case using skeletal Anglais. They placed here and tried to intrude upon anterior teeth. It was very successful. However, they didn't mention about diameter of the screws in this article in JCO. Looks like around 30 millimeters. 14 years later, second case was published by Dr. Kanami in Japan. He gave us very important information. Even 1.2 millimeter is possible for orthodontic purpose. Even it's very small, also he worried about root injury. That's why he placed the movable mucosa far away from the clinical crowns, and he connected this kind of hook. However, also there is proliferation of soft tissue. Why? It was very successful. Many doctors didn't try to use skeletal anchorage in orthodontics during this period. I think there was advanced biomechanics. Also, that kind of screws looks very dangerous. Orthodontists do not like dangerous things. And yet they showed us only intrusion of upper and lower anterior teeth. At that time, we had this kind of good mechanics to intrude open the low using this kind of one-piece or two-piece or three-piece arches. So many orthodontists, including me, do not want to use this kind of dangerous tool only to intrude open and low anterior teeth. So in 1998, finally, we found the same size of surgical screws which are using in plastic surgeon. Because we couldn't buy Dr. Kanomi microimplant because they didn't receive Japanese certificate. So they didn't sell to me. And one of my students found the same diameter. Then they tried to insert between 5 and 6. Then in between roots, then tried to retract anterior teeth back. 1999, they showed so many excellent cases. So as I said before, we have so many bialveolar protrusion. If microimplant is possible to retract anterior teeth back, it's a very good idea. That's why it's spread all around the world. Also with high success rate, very easy insertion. Still many doctors worried about root injury, like this kind of injury done by oral surgeon during intermaxillary fixation for orthodontic surgery. Also, the main reason is root damage. Then, what will happen if you touch the root? I think you can see so many articles about root touch using animals. One of my student research, and Andrezen, 91. So many doctors worried about ankylosis. According to our experience and the research, you do not need to worry about ankylosis because ectomy is a more big injury to the periodontal ligament compared to touch the root by a microimplant. In Turkey, Professor Buyukilmaz gave him these very important pictures. Also, I gave him my lecture material. We exchanged. And they did intentional injury in human being. Let's see what will happen. And his conclusion, they touched only cementum. There's recovery, of course. Cementum has power of recovery. Also, even they encroach to the dentin, they could see this kind of reorganization of periodontal ligament. It means if we do not penetrate root, we do not worry about any big side effect. You know, Lee Grave, he invited me in the United States. I did a one-day course in Michigan, Chicago. He showed me one interesting pictures. Root is here, crown is here. The oral surgeon totally cut. Then he applied force, only upper part moved distally. Why these things happen? Many doctors placed almost perpendicular to the root axis. That's why, if possible, I try to insert a little bit oblique direction. It's more safer than a perpendicular direction. In this case, done in Seoul, after endodontic treatment, you can see, I could see some kind of regeneration. So it means if we do not penetrate to the pulp, just simple root touch is no big deal. It means you do not need to worry about big side effect. Then what is biggest side effect when you touch the root? Many doctors agree that we have more failures. This is Dr. Kuroda in Japan. We published in AJODO a long time ago. And in the middle, 93% success. Touch, fortunately, 62% survival. near 87. It means your failure rate is higher than others. Maybe you touch the root more. Or sometimes if you move tooth, sometimes root touch to the microimplant. How many percent we could touch to the root? We did this kind of research. Anyhow, our ortho resident, the contact ratio of this kind of phantom model, and interns, they never had experience in real patient. Generally, they touched more. Important thing is that the touch contact ratio is different, right side, left side, especially in the upper. You can see all the doctors touched first molar on the right side. In the lower, all the doctors who the first molar on the left side, right side, they touched only second molars. It means when you access directly into the mouth, maybe some kind of optical, optical illusion. So that's why I always to my student, try to find out good way, good direction on the model. Also, one of my students from Thailand, he did this kind of research. If we made this kind of drill guide or implant guide, we can reduce root touch. But it's not efficient, so I do not use clinically. Second one is infection. This is typical brain of male. How about female? I have no idea because I'm man. Woman like man 3Ms. Good mood, good manner, and big money. Nowadays, the change, all the change. First, money. Second, money. Third, money. This is my wife's brain. Here you can see big implant in between brains. So 5 years later, they took X-ray. They found that there's big implant in between two brains. Korean is second rank in drinking. Of course, first one is Russia. So sometimes they had a headache for 5 years, but medical doctor didn't know the reason before taking this kind of X-ray. 6. Anyhow, this was not autoclaved one, dirty one. Even in brain, for 5 years, there's no infection. Why no inflammation? Russian doctor know the reason. When I did lecture in Russia, because he drink alcohol every day, the alcohol sterilized implant. You know, many people doing this kind of piercing, same implant, not done by doctors, done by lay people, or sometimes they doing by themselves. Why? Orthodontist cannot place this kind of small microimplant. You know, I received endoscopic surgery some months ago. Medicine doctor did the surgery, not general surgeon. So why you send patient to oral surgeon to place microimplant? It's simple. It's simple to extract root rest, to extract teeth. Dentists should have to know. We learned how to extract teeth. It's more minor surgery than extraction of teeth. You know, 5 American ortho patients became total blindness due to headgear accident. You know the reason. I think microimplant is more safe than this kind of headgear. Also, some doctors use very big size of implant and mini plate. Then there's proper size of microimplant. There's no strict rule. But if possible, I'm going to try to use a little bit thin one. If you use thin one, we can have less chance to touch the root. This is my idea and received the patent. So we need some hygienic space between soft tissue and this elastics. So you couldn't see this kind of slanted neck in the market because this is my pattern. At first time, we made only 1.2 because Dr. Konami showed us 1.2, but it's too weak. Also, it was made pure titanium. Now it's made of titanium alloy. We didn't expect too much osseointegration. When I first used microimplant, I worried two kind of things. Of course, first one is infection and root injury. Second one is osseointegration. If 2 years or 3 years later, if we do not remove what we can explain to patient. Fortunately, we could remove very easily without any problems. Then bigger diameter microimplant guarantee higher success rate. According to Japanese data, there's no much difference. Even mini plate, screws big size, diameter 1.3 is highest success rate than bigger or mini plate. Statistically, there's no difference. Anyhow, if we start small one, they continue to small one. However, if they break a lot, they move to big one. If they use a big one, they worry about fracture, so they do not use a thin one. So anyhow, there's advantage and disadvantage of bigger size and a small one. So depending on the site, I choose different size and diameter and the length. Also, when you choose thin one, less pain to patient, of course. So some doctors insist we have to leave around 1 millimeter space between microimplant and the root to increase success rate. This is the most common size which I'm using in the maxillary buccal area, 7 millimeter length, from here 7 millimeter length. This is 1.2, this is 1.3. Now it's made of titanium alloy. It's enough to insert even without drilling. So this is a bovine lip. Bovine lip similar to human mandible. This pull-out test, it took 23 kilogram force. But we apply force, not this direction. We apply force lateral direction. When I applied 28 kilogram force, it was broken. Also on the force level is here. It means we do not need mini plate or big one for orthodontic purpose. So nowadays, many doctors want to use insert without drilling. So one of professors in Korea, when they use big one, they have more microfractures around microimplant. If this microfractures is one region of failure, maybe it's better to use thin one, or the other one is it's better to use drill first. Also, this is one reason why we have more failures in mandible than maxilla. Unfortunately, we have higher success rate in maxilla than mandible. It's opposite in prosthetic implant, because usually we need more anchorage in the maxilla. And always you have to find out most efficient and effective one in individual patient. There's no strict rule, I think. I skip. You can see pure titanium microimplant, which was made in Korea one time, only 1.6. They couldn't remove. Microimplant should be removed easily too. That's the big difference between prosthodontic implant. Orthodontic adhesive should be removed easily when we remove the brackets. That's different from the operative dentistry bonding strength. So some company and some doctors use stainless steel, but that's okay. But you cannot see very small, tiny size of stainless steel because it's difficult to make. Unfortunately, we cannot differentiate with eyes which one is stainless steel, which one is titanium. That's why many orthodontists and the doctors break a lot of a titanium implant because the characteristics is absolutely different. Orthodontists already accustomed to use wire bending of stainless steel, so they think this stainless steel is the same as that kind of material or instrument. But there's only one stainless steel we can receive American FDA approval. The name is SS316. And in our experience, there's no difference in success rate. However, stainless steel have nickel alloys, but titanium alloy, they do not contain nickels. Failure, so many factors. One of them implant design, still we are developing. We change design so many times using this kind of FEM, animal study, and the clinical study. When I searched internet about success rate of prosthodontic implant, also I could see lots of failures, lots of failures. There's no 100% success rate. Even they use a big one. Sometimes type 4 bone quality success rate is 40%. That's why we have more failures in young growing patients, I think, in orthodontic microimplant. These are data of my department. It is failure rate of maxillar, failure rate in mandible. Still, we have more failures in the mandible. Everybody agrees. One doctor in Brazil, he used a small one, 91% success rate. Why we have more failure? Still, we need more research. Drill-free, there are two ways. Okay, here you can see, if we insert without drilling, we could see this kind of fracture of cortical bone. Also, I think this is one reason of failure when we insert without drilling. One time, we could see this kind of implant with big alveolar bone. So the thickness of cortical bone is different from patient to patient, also different to side. Even right side very thick, the other side very thin. So before drilling, before insertion microimplant, we do not know actually. We can take cone-beam CT. Cone-beam CT is effective, but not efficient to take cone-beam CT to place a microimplant. Initial tightness, one data, if the initial tightness more than 10 newtons, more failures, according to Japanese state. How do we know 10 Newton centimeters? This is pen. If you feel heavy resistance with your 2 fingers, it's about 10 newtons. Many doctors use wrist force. I always recommend to use only 2 fingers. If you insert with your 2 fingers with the pen shaped diameter, it's about 10 newtons. You cannot insert with your 2 fingers, remove. and drill, then insert. Then you will never break microimplant. Also, you can increase success rate. Fracture is also common because it's made of titanium. This is titanium alloy. Nowadays, we are using this one. It's the same composition of titanium drive. Nowadays, no one who uses stainless steel metal drive. We use titanium drive. But titanium drive, sometimes it was broken. It was broken. Here you can see this titanium alloy. It was broken about this amount of force. Stainless steel, this amount of force. It means titanium alloy is stronger than stainless steel. However, it broke abruptly. Stainless steel, it will take a little time. Many doctors, if implant is big, it costs more. It's absolutely opposite. The smaller, it costs more. The small watch is more difficult to make, same thing. The smaller, it costs more because we have to make with this kind of machine. For the implant, it took 3 minutes. Also, the microimplant, it took 5 to 8 minutes. Also, more inferior goods because it's too small. That's why many implant companies do not interest to make small one. So many doctors don't like to use motor to drill. So that's why now I made pilot screw made of stainless steel, strong stainless steel. Also, I made hand drill. We can drill without motors. I'm testing. I think it's good because many doctors worried about using a little high-speed motor to drill bone. Okay, I have not much time for talk about the microimplant. Last, I'm going to show you 1 or 2 interesting cases. We learn bone modeling and remodeling during Olson treatment. For example, if insert the microimplant here, if we retract, what will happen? We can see more exposures. Like this. It's normal. That's why we can do orthodontic treatment. Same, the mandible, more exposures. However, after using microimplant, some patient, there's no remodeling of remaining alveolar bone. So it means they have to receive alveoloplasty after ortho treatment. So I always explain to the patient, sometimes you have to receive alveoloplasty, especially in adult patient with severe alveolar protrusion. You can see one patient, perfect occlusion almost, retract. What happened? No resorption of alveolar bone. In my experience, it takes a long time, sometimes several years, to be removed. You can see. So, patient received alveoloplasty, and the patient got very angry because we didn't expect this kind of things. So also patient didn't think about this kind of surgery after orthodontic treatment. Nowadays, I always explain before starting with treatment. Then, what happened? If we retract 6 or 7 minutes back, how about cortical bone on the palate? With cephalometrics, it's impossible to check the alveolar bone height on the palatal side. However, after using column beam CT, many patients, we couldn't see cortical bone on the palatal side after severe retraction. Then, what we have to do? We have to continue to retract 6 or 7 minutes back. Patient very, very happy. Here, fortunately, 9 years later, we could see new alveolar bone. So still, we are gathering this kind of data. Maybe it will be published in soon, AJODO soon. You can see, fortunately. Okay, I didn't have much time to talk about microimplant. Maybe if I have chance next time, I will introduce some more experience of a microimplant Anglais. Anyhow, this and a human life starts from B, birth, and death, D, death. In between B and D, there is C, choice. Every day we have to do so many choices. What to eat, which way is better. Also, whenever I see the patient, I always have to think which bracket is good for this patient. So anyhow, microimplant Anglais, self-relaxation bracket is, I think, a good tool for me now to burden my orthodontic treatment in daily practice. Choosing a microimplant self-relaxation bracket is your choice. I'm a president of Korean Association of Orthodontists. Now we are going to have pre-congress in TED in Korea, October 7. If you are interested, please attend our CAO meeting, pre-congress, and the congress, 7 to 9, COEX in Seoul. Anyhow, thank you for your kind attention. I have to finish my lecture here. Thank you. Thank you.